Hello, I want to make a Spanish Bible reading video. I'll start in English. Inspired by the death of DMX, who I guess died a little while ago, a few days, or maybe it was today, I'm not exactly sure. But apparently who was a Christian, brother in Christ. And while I was not a fan of his music, I always enjoyed watching him talk. I think he was a very interesting guy, and it's an interesting opportunity in these racially charged times to make a comment about the race of Christians, and that Christ died for all people, and through his blood we are forgiven, which means we are his children, which means he is our father, our bloodline comes from him, and not from our worldly ancestors, though obviously you're going to have attributes of them no matter who you are. But a Christian is no longer, your last name is you're not changing your last name to the Christ, like Islam. Muslims change their name to Muhammad a lot, or the first name is Muhammad, and you don't change your name to Muhammad Ali, for example. You don't change your name to acknowledge your religious status. Nevertheless, your race is no longer primarily your physical race. And that's remarkable. And Christian persecution is essentially a racist act. It's not essentially a racist act. It's essentially an act of God-hating. But just above that spiritual level, it's a racist act against Christ's children. And so I want to read the same verses that, or roughly the same verses that I saw a video that I saw it today, but it was about a year and a half ago or so, or a year ago maybe, something like that, of DMX reading from Ecclesiastes. So before this gets any longer, I'm going to read Ecclesiastes 3 and 4, though I think he did it in the order of 4 and 3, so we'll do it in that order. And just want to say, though he's not watching, if he was a brother in Christ, and it seems that it was, right on, man. He's having a good time now. And while I don't feel any personal sadness about it, I didn't know him and I wasn't a fan, so it's not a loss in that sense for me. And no matter who you are, if somebody means something to you, there's going to be loss in that, and there's going to be a sense of loss. For Christians, there's also a sense of celebration. So for me, not having been a fan or a friend, I only have the celebration. So in celebration of my brother's life, I want to read the same verses that he read in that video that I just posted earlier today, a couple hours ago. Starting in, I'll do it in English and then Spanish. Ecclesiastes 4, like I think it was 1 through 3, and then Ecclesiastes 3, several verses. Ecclesiastes 4. So I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold, the tears of such as were oppressed. And they had no comforter, and on the side of their oppressors there was power, but they had no comforter. Wherefore I praise the dead which are already dead, more than the living which are yet alive. Yea, better is he than both they, which hath not yet been, who hath not seen the evil work that is done under the sun. En español, el libro de Ecclesiastes, capítulo 4, versículos 1 a 3, y me volví, y vi todas las violencias que se hacen debajo del sol, y he aquí las lágrimas de los oprimidos, sin tener quien los consuele, y la fuerza estaba en la mano de sus opresores, y para ellos no había consolador. y alabé y a los muertos, los que ya murieron, más que a los vivientes, los que aún están con vida. Y tuve por mejor que unos y otros, al que no ha sido aún, que no ha visitado las malas obras que debajo del sol se hacen. And Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through whatever it was. It'll be obvious. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to break down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get, and a time to lose. A time to keep, and a time to cast away. A time to rend, and a time to sow. A time to keep silence, and a time to speak. A time to love, and a time to hate. A time of war, and a time of peace. Ecclesiastes capítulo 3, versículos 1 a 8. Para todo hay sazón y todo lo que se quiere debajo del cielo tiene su tiempo. Tiempo de nacer y tiempo de morir. Tiempo de plantar y tiempo de arrancar lo plantado. Tiempo de matar y tiempo de curar. Tiempo de destruir y tiempo de edificar. Tiempo de llorar y tiempo de reír. Tiempo de endechar y tiempo de bailar. Tiempo de esparcir piedras y tiempo de juntar piedras. Tiempo de abrazar y tiempo de abstenerse de abrazar. Abstenerse de abrazar. Tiempo de buscar y tiempo de perder. Tiempo de guardar y tiempo de desechar. Tiempo de romper y tiempo de coser. Tiempo de caer y tiempo de hablar. Callar y tiempo de hablar. Tiempo de amar y tiempo de aborrecer. Tiempo de guerra y tiempo de paz. Es un tiempo de paz para mi hermano DMX. Descanso en paz, hermano. Gracias por escuchar. Hasta la próxima.